Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chupacabra's Lair. I'm your host, Larry, and we're back for another episode of Larry Does Ludum, taking a look at 3 more delicious games from Ludum Dare number 38, whose game jam theme was A Small World. And to start us out here today, we're going to be checking out Shapeshifter, the King of a Small World, made by Rixid, which is all about exploring the quite literally small world of insects, where we jump through various levels trying to collect magical orbs to either fuel our powers or probably appease our soon-to-be alien overlords, because I'm thinking that our bug compatriot might be some type of horrifying alien replicant. So let's just jump in here and take a look. So, Shapeshifter, the King of a Small World, is a game where you're using various different shapes and sized insects in order to accomplish different mini platforming puzzles inside of the game. So the first one that we start out with is a grasshopper, or maybe a cricket. I mean, it says grasshopper, but it kind of looks like, from behind, it kind of looks like the camel crickets that I have around my house. And like you'd imagine, we have the awe-inspiring power of jumping real good. Like that episode of Samurai Jack, where he learned from those weird little hairy guys how to jump real good out in the Tibetan mountains. Very fancy skill, especially when you're fighting a gigantic demon named Aku, who is quite tall, and you really just kind of want to give him a good old slash to the face. Because he's been looking at you funny, and that's just the name of the game. And then after we kind of go through this game a little bit, we start to unlock newer and different powers, like the ability to turn into an ant or a beetle, and those give us maybe not necessarily different powers that we can use outright, like the jump ability, but it does allow us to get through different situations a little bit easier. And then, of course, the other thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep an eye on what's going on in the environment, because I do know that our devious friend Rixid is hiding different globes all around these different levels in obscure places that are sometimes very hard to see. You sneaky devil, you. So now we've got the ability to turn into an ant, and this is pretty simple. It just lets you get down low into small crevices as opposed to hopping over them. Which I guess that's kind of cool. I would think that an ant would maybe have like the ability to dig a little bit beyond just the size factor. Because, you know, each insect, no matter what their power is, has a certain shape and size. And I feel like you could combine those two into a greater set of powers. Otherwise, you're just a magical midget that just happens to do stuff. Wait, why is it not letting me through? Uh-oh. I think I may have found a glitch in the Matrix here, folks. Oh, there we go. Maybe I have to jump through this sphere. Come on, you. Behave yourself. There we go. But yeah, I feel like you could do something that incorporates both their size, and every creature has some type of active power that unlocks as you go along through the game. So that said, there's not a terrible lot going on in this game. Certainly not a ton of graphics happening. And not a lot of other things to interact with in the environment. Because one of the things that I think of when I play a game that's all about insects is I kind of think back to those really janky tie-in games that would like tie into a movie that you just saw. And I think that one of them was like Bug's Life. And that was a game where you played like the Bug Life movie, where everything wanted to kill you, and you had to just accomplish different crazy arcadey goals in order to get to the next leg of the level. And you'd unlock like machines and other types of technology, like wooden technology, from the movie. And so, with what I'm trying to get at is, an insect probably lives in a world filled with other insects. And there's a lot of dangers involved in that you have to be worried about, like them eating you. So you kind of want some other antagonists in the game. And here's what the big beetle form is good for. This is like a windy valley, and a beetle is big, fat, and heavy. So our secret ability is we have the power to be fat and to climb through stuff like that. So I think some enemies in this game would be nice. Some things to give you pause that might kill you would be interesting. And then, you know, just maybe some more powers for each of these different critters. Because I feel like this is a moment where you could take a lot of inspiration from the actual animal kingdom with all the different powers that these creatures have and how their digestive system works and how all of their bodily functions can incorporate into a game, illustrating what it's like in a sort of platforming way to be a cute little insect. That said, you got a lot of different directions you could go with this game. You could make it educational, you could make it into an exploration game, an open world game, or a collectathon like Ukulele. Like, that's one of the ones that I would think of right off the bat. Oh, how am I supposed to do this? I can't really hop as the beetle, I don't think. Alright, I guess I'll have to work this out. But I like the incorporation of different environmental obstacles in this game, but beyond that, definitely could use with a graphical update. This is one of the few times where I could say that the graphics super duper don't do it for me at present, but that's not too hard to work out. You just need practice at making 3D models, and I think if you just made a little bit more detail to them, even if you, Rixid, are not really capable of adding a bunch of super crazy graphics, just having some animations to the characters that make them feel like they're alive as opposed to just a corpse that some kid is playing with in their bedroom in like a little mock-up environment, that would be a nice touch. Then throw in some more sounds, more powers, and some music, and I think you'd be good to go. Also kind of cleaning up some of the controls, because sometimes the jumps just do not want to do the thing. So otherwise, nice job, Rixid. I like the concept, but it's very, very raw right now. Very, very raw indeed. Oh, dang it. I didn't transform fast enough. All right, next up on our trifecta of games here today, we have Solar Smash, which is made by the group comprised of Black Sheep ZA, William ZA, and Adonai. And given these names, does the ZA at the end of each one of these names have like a significance? Is that like a country? Like if you're playing online and you see like a BR in someone's name, they're from Brazil? Or is that some type of inside joke? I feel like that's a thing. I'm kind of curious now. But anyway, this is a jam entry. And the way that this particular game works is we're a member of the gods. And instead of, you know, gambling and playing games with each other, where you do like roll the dice or play poker, we instead like to get our rocks off with intergalactic bowling, where we attempt to smash unsuspecting planets with asteroids. And so our goal here is to smash all of these planets using the excuse me, the 3 asteroids at our disposal. And the second the asteroid stops moving or it loses momentum, if we haven't destroyed everything, we lose the game. And in order to showcase where our asteroid is going, we have a lovely little red line that will indicate the direction we're shooting it into. And also there's a little power meter down here at the bottom where the longer you hold down the power button, the more power that your asteroid is going to get. Now, I don't know if you've guessed, but I've played this game quite a bit trying to get some level of mastery over the physics engine, and, you know, it plays pretty well. Like, I was actually impressed with that. The physics engine seems to be fairly accurate to trying to use power to arc asteroids around the gravity of a sun and destroy it. That said, it can be a little bit hinky. Like, it can be quite hinky at times, especially when you're trying to obliterate as many of these planets as physically possible. I think it's mainly that the little system that allows you to see where your asteroids is going is sometimes rather inaccurate, slow, or a bit stuttery. Oh, how did I lose, game? The frickin' planet died right at the end there. But anyway, I think this game has got some potential to it. It reminds me a lot, actually, of that game Orbitalis that came out of a previous Ludum Dare competition. And that was a game all about creating stable satellite orbits for satellites that are being launched from various planets all around our galaxy. And that was interesting. Like, I hadn't played a lot of really fun physics engine games that required you to create a stable orbit with different star systems that you would actually encounter out in space in sort of like a very Star Trek methodology. So, one of the things that I liked about that game was they actually gave you a really long arc that would show you exactly where your asteroid was going, and sometimes, or well, your satellite, and sometimes it would even show you what the results would be after it got into its stable orbit to give you a sense of how the game plays and how it behaves so that you could kind of logically do a strategic cause and effect in your head. So that said, like, I think in this game you could have a bunch more levels that all have like a cursor that helps you less and less as you go deeper and deeper into the game, where at the start of the game, when you're on the tutorial, you could have it set up so that it shows you where the asteroid is going to go as you hold it down and get more power. And then after it hits an object, it could then show you where all that object's pieces are going to go and show you that those pieces are random, but your object is not so random. And then as you get out of the tutorial, it'll stop, giving you hints and judging where your asteroid is going to end up. Now, I'm sure that's actually probably a tall order, considering the amount of math that's involved in calculating all that and displaying it as a predictive algorithm or something. But I think that's got a lot of potential to make an interesting game. And then you could create a bunch of different intergalactic bowling scenarios that would make sense as to why you would want to do the different things that you're intending to do. Like, maybe you can actually make it into an interstellar game, like there's bowling pins or something. Or if you don't do something like that, you could make it so that each individual system provides its own unique challenge. Like instead of 1 star, you have 2. Instead of, a bunch of planets, you have to find a way to arc your asteroid and thread the needle through an asteroid belt in order to get a perfect score on a given system. Maybe some systems you actually have to not kill a planet. You have a lot of options here in a game like this, and I think you should definitely explore cosmological bowling, or solar smash bowling, as it were. And then do something that allows people to really take advantage of your interesting low poly art that you did for things like this blue planet, well, kind of purpley planet with little islands right here. Like, I think you could do like a really cool, like, cascading game mode in here where then you could use a camera that replays what just happened and then it like zooms in and shows you the cool planets that have just been blown up. You got a lot of options here, and I think you should explore them. That said, I think you did a really nice job with the graphics. There's actually stuff going on in the background of space, and space is really easy to do background art. You need just stars, quasars, other suns and moons and stuff, and then you're good to go. In this case, it's just a bunch of stars that kind of have a parallaxing effect, and I always like parallaxing with little particles in the background. So nice job with that. I think it fits the theme, if in a really weird, robust, roundabout way. So nice job, team of the ZAs. I liked this one. It was very nicely done. I just wish there was more levels, because there's really just this one where you can see these different... You know what? Maybe it's not the same level. Maybe it's just the same planets, because now I'm looking at it, it looks like these are actually in a different orientation than they were before. So maybe there are different levels that just you gotta wait till the planets kind of get lined up in a weird funkadelic way. But either way, nice job. It'd be interesting to see more variety in this game, and I'd love to see this kind of built out and fleshed out. So nice job. Alrighty, last but certainly not least, we have Starkeeper. This is a game that is made by Vexel Louis Lepton and Alexander the Android Dev. And this is an interesting game. This is one of those games that almost feels like it's trying to be a sort of interactive narrative storybook that's originally intended for kids. So the idea here is this doesn't say verbally what you have to do, but we have planted a galactic space rose, and we want it to grow. But unfortunately, in our neck of the galaxy, the only light to be had to grow this rose on our cold, desolate moon world is the light of these ancient stars that are floating up in the sky. But unfortunately, while we're playing this game, there's these evil black clouds that want to suck up all the light from the stars, and without light, our lovely little plant will not grow. And that's pretty much the whole name of the game. We got to death ray these clouds off of these stars in order to grow our little rose that is indicated down in the lower left-hand corner. And that's basically the whole thing of the game. We're like some type of ancient wizard that is just trying to guard his precious flower so that it does not get destroyed by a lack of starlight. And that's the whole game, really. You're just killing enough clouds long enough for our lovely little plant to grow. And there's something I kind of like about this game in that kind of like old school enchanting way. And it reminds me a lot of the movie that's like for forever ago, from like the 80s, I think. The 80s or the 70s. And it's called A Flight of Dragons. And if you haven't seen that one, it's one of those classic D&D style game, well, not games, but movies, where the character is transported into a dimension filled with dragons and magic, and he becomes a dragon, and he then has to defeat the evil Lord of Magic that is trying to suck up all the remaining magic and conquer the world and make sure magic reigns supreme for flippin' ever. And there's something really simple and compelling about an old magical wizard hermit who lives among the stars in some sort of observatory. Maybe this is his magical sanctum sanctorum, where he just creates newer magic and studies ever stronger magic. And in this case, he's doing so by growing a flower. And let me restart this really quick. I just have to bring the game window back up again. There it goes. Sometimes OBS is a little fiddly when you bring a game open and shut again, but this has some sort of like emergent story to this game that I really, really like. And I think you could do a lot of stuff with this. Like, this could be an interactive story, like that story, that kid's story on Netflix that they turned into an animation called The Little Prince, where it's a kid that lives out in space alone, and he has like this flower that he finds, and he wants to keep it alive and keep it happy, because it's the only thing around that he's been able to talk to for years. And the flower is increasingly demanding of, like, put a dome over me so I stay warmer, water me, do all these things for me, and just continuously complains all the time. And until eventually the prince is just like, well, you know what, screw you, lady, this isn't fun anymore, you're just a butthole. And you could do something very simplistic like that with this game, where you tell like a fun, just sort of wandering around story adventure that's almost like the open world of storybooks, where you go on a branching adventure, like choose your own story, that you could do to explore. And you got a lot of options here. I mean, what is the deal with this guy? Is he an ancient master of the stars? Is he just an ancient wizard that's existed since the time before time? Is he the Sandman? I don't know, but you got a lot of things you could do with this story-wise. And then every time you change the parts of the story, you use those lovely images that you crafted with this really nice pixel art to, without words, tell a story about what's going on in the background with just visual images. And that's got two added benefits. One, you don't have to hire a translator to expand upon the story because it uses pictures instead of words. That's pretty universal. And then you could just have a lot of fun with a bunch of different crazy amounts of magic and not have to worry too much about explaining things or showcasing things. You could just have fun with ancient magic. And that's the thing I don't think enough games let people do, is just go through the game and explore and just enjoy experiencing somebody's world filled with magic that you might not otherwise be able to play in any given game that tries to over-explain things or put everything within a strict rule set, which I think Magic would be kind of loosey-goosey on some level. So I like it. It's got good sound. It's got good I love the art for this game. It's flippin' great. And I love the idea of using illustrations, pixel art illustrations, to tell you what's going on and what you need to do in this game without just outright explaining everything, like word for word. My only thing is, I really want more of this. I want to see more of this wizard's life. Like, what is he doing? Does he have a nemesis? Does he fight somebody? Does he save people? Or is he like just a quiet guy that watches from the sidelines as things go on the world below? It also kind of reminds me of the Cat Catcher movie. That was a foreign movie that I watched where this young kid stays awake because he watches the stars every night. And then one night they all start to go out and he can't figure out as to why. And it turns out that the darkness has returned. Excuse me, I've got bad allergies right now. And he has to help the cat catcher to stop the darkness and bring back the starlight because the King of Dreams isn't doing his job. And that was great. I loved that. It was one of those very simple, fun, childlike stories that you can enjoy at any age. And I see a lot of that in this particular game. So, nice job, guys. I really enjoyed this one, and keep up the good work. And let me know if you expand on this. It could be just a regular wizardy game. It could be a storybook. I don't know. You got lots of options here. It could even just be a point and click. So, nice job. And let me know. It looks cool. So that's it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I've been your host, Larry. I hope you've been enjoying the coverage of the Ludum Dare 38 games here so far. And if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, feel free to leave those in the comments below. I don't bite. I'm a pretty nice, decent guy. Even if you just want to chat about these different games, I'd be more than happy to indulge you in the comments below. And if you have a game to submit to me, you can comment on the video, you can send me a message on YouTube or whatever, you can send it to me on social media, or you can just use the handy-dandy Google contact form that I created to make everything oh so simplistic and easy. And until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe, you'd be doing me a great favor, and I'll catch you next time. Bye everybody, and toodaloo.